Esteban lives for loving you. I live for your love. It really is a romantic thought, isn't it? But I appreciate you joining me every morning here now we're coming up on 21 years this year. Said before, they're too dumb to fire me or I'm too dumb to retire, one way or the other. Speaking of retirement, advisory services offered through Second Half Financial Partners, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. The opinions voiced and information provided in this material are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments are appropriate for you, please consult with a financial advisor. Second Half Financial Partners, LLC does not provide tax or legal advice. Please consult your tax or legal advisor regarding your particular situation. Speaking of tax and legal advisors, you want to talk to an investment advisor, and that's Phillip Statler from Statler Financial Services to chat about what's going on with your money this morning. Phillip, Happy New Year a day late, and I'm glad to hear your voice this morning.
Hey, Happy New Year to you and everyone out there. Hope everybody had an enjoyable New Year's Eve and celebrated responsibly and had a great day yesterday. I know me, I got all our Christmas decorations put away yesterday, and so that's a good feeling to look at the house and it all be it looks kind of empty now though.
I can believe that. Let's set up the table for the morning as far as Wall Street's concerned quickly here. It was another off day on Tuesday. They traded until the end of the day, but you could just see the world fall off the edge of the earth as far as volume about noon on Tuesday. Dow ended up down by a rock-crushing 29.5. Standard & Poor's was off by another 25.5, and NASDAQ ended up falling 176 points, so the kind of end-of-the-year sell-off continued. But I'm still looking at what the projections are for the big market-making houses, and almost all of them think 2025 is going to be a good year. Now, remember, we're starting out the morning now with the S&P at 5881. The Oppenheimer folks think we're going to end 2025 at 7,100. That would be another 20% up year. Everybody except for Stifel is predicting we're going to go up somewhat. UBS says 6,400. And the end of the list as far as predictions, Stifel doesn't think we're all going to die this year, but they think we're going to end up at 5,500 at the end of the year, which kind of adds the credibility that all those brokerage houses deserve, don't they, Phillip?
Well, yeah, you know, and they change, right? This is what they say today, but what do they say 6 months from now? What do they say 9 months from now? Because they keep moving the target, right? Nobody comes out and sticks with what they say from January to December. It's a moving target. We don't ever know where it's going to end up.
Absolutely not. The thing is, the whole world is going to actually change on the 20th of January with a new set of economic policies coming in and a whole pile of the upset that we've had for the last 3 weeks, in addition to simple portfolio adjustments that the brokerage houses do a lot at the end of the year. But we've also got so much rumor. Are the tariffs going to cause inflation? Are the tariffs going to get absorbed by currency manipulation? What are we going to do if we end up canning half the federal workforce? And will RFK screw up our entire health policy, or will he help it? Nobody knows. And the thing is, we're gyrating in the market based upon rumors as to what the Trump administration could do. Heck, we're still 3 weeks away from it starting, and we're trading as if it's been in business for a year and a half now.
Well, yeah, we are. And you know, there's just some unknowns, right? You just listed a whole bunch of things that are unknowns and which brings uncertainty to the marketplace. So it's going to be interesting to see between now and the end of this month what happens in the marketplace. What do the indexes do? And what rhetoric do we hear out of the current administration and the new administration? And how does that drive the market? And that's what's yet to be unseen.
And there's going to be a pile of changes that advocates of the Trump administration are not going to like between now and the 20th, and Democrats are going to like because it's going to be kind of a poke in the eye on the Trump administration. I mean, it's not going to be quiet until we get past the 20th, everything being relative.
Well, that's true. I mean, you might as well get used to a lot of news coming out.
Absolutely. Speaking of moves, yesterday I did the calculations on the thing, but with the kind of herky-jerky last couple of weeks we had, I thought folks could use a little bit of reassurance. If you were invested in an index fund for the Standard & Poor's 500 on the 1st of January of last year, If that was your primary investment, an S&P index fund, your money went up by 23.31% during the year. So if you were losing morale over the last 2 weeks of the year, cry me a river, because you were up 23+% during the year. That's the second 20% gain in a row for 2 years in a row on the S&P. Not a bad year, I'd say, right?
No, not bad at all. I will just kind of throw this out there too, because if you look back, we started the year at 47 something, and so we end up with an all-time high, right, of like 6,099, almost 6,100, and we're off the highs. And that's pretty much the case in all the indexes, is that we have ended up off of that high that seemed to hit sometime the first part of December. And so the question is going to be, do we bounce or do we continue this trek kind of up and down to the downward movement until we get to what Trump's actual economic plan is going to be?
And it's going to be herky jerky between now and the 20th, no doubt. You're right. Once the Trump administration's economic policies actually get carved in stone instead of being carved into the rumor mill, we'll have a better idea. Just to give an idea of the other stuff, the more adventurous Russell 2000 was up by a little over 10% last year. The Dow was up 12.88% during the year. And NASDAQ was a fun place to be during 2024. Your NASDAQ index was up 28.64% during the year. So like I said, if somebody was worried about the day-to-day stock movements, cry me a river, because during the year itself, you did just fine, didn't you?
You did. You ended up, if you were in for the whole year, you did all right. You did very well, as a matter of fact. But if you had put your money in at the high, well, you're down 4.5% right now.
Absolutely, yeah. If you buy at the high, then you're called an amateur, and you're the one that ends up preceding the general drops and corrections. And thank you very much for triggering another correction for the last few months of the year, right?
That's right. Exactly.
Just watch when the small guys get in. You know the place is about to slide. Hey, we're going to go off the topic for a little bit in here, because we're going to lose you for a few days in the middle of the month for some work on health and whatnot. And I know you wanted to talk a little bit about taking care of one's body and one's health, didn't you?
Absolutely, Dave. Here's the deal. So many of us, especially men, we don't like to go to the doctor. And I get it. Nobody likes to go to the doctor. But here's what I want us, and we rely so much on tests, blood tests, and so here I want to know. I've been working on this really since all of 2024, but was diagnosed with prostate cancer back in August, and so there's a lot of different alternatives out there depending upon what level you are at. But here's what I want to encourage folks is that go to the doctor. Nobody likes the exam, but let me tell you, my PSA was normal, within normal range, and it has always been. And so the only way that we found this was through an actual exam back in January of 2024. And so I encourage you, as much as we don't like it, and even doctors I've noticed now are getting away from it. They say you can have it if you want to. Well, say yes and get it done, because that is the only way that they found mine. Now, I'm sure a couple of years from now it would have eventually shown up in blood work, but who knows at that point where it would have been, or how it would have spread. So, prostate cancer, if you got to have cancer, is one, if you catch it early enough, is definitely one of the ones that's one of the more curable out there. Um, and so, yeah, I will be out 2 weeks from yesterday. I'm scheduled for surgery. And so I will be out. They tell me anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks, but I don't anticipate being out the whole 6 weeks. But I got to allow for that. At least that's what the medical profession tells me. So that's what I will be doing for a little while in January.
All righty. I will second that as well. Bottom line is get tested, get screened. I will second it on a completely different variety of cancer. I am the only living male in my bloodline because every single male in my bloodline has either had or passed from colorectal cancer. And I give it credit for the fact that I religiously get a colonoscopy once every 3 years, whether I feel I need it or not, because I give it credit for having keeping me alive because they always find precancerous polyps. If I didn't check them, well, I'd probably have joined my dad, grandfather, and his 6 brothers. So, like you say, get checked, trust the doctors, and do the right thing.
And for you, it's history, right? In my family, there is no history of
Mm-hmm.
prostate cancer. And so, you sit there, if all I did was rely on the blood work I got done every year, which I was pretty good about getting my blood work done every year, I wouldn't have done anything because my PSA was within normal ranges and it wouldn't have been a red flag to any doctor that reviewed my blood work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there is some reason why Medicare no longer routinely pays for PSA blood tests because of that. It didn't show up for you, and it sometimes shows false positives that causes biopsies that aren't needed. So get the traditional exam. It'll give you a much better warning, won't it?
It will. It will.
Absolutely.
So that's my public service announcement, and please, take it to heart. It's one of those things that is curable. You just got to find it early.
Get tested, guys. Back to the topic that we're on in the process, and that would be your money. We had an off day on the last day the market was opening up in about 45 minutes this morning. What are we looking at so far?
Dave, we have got some green ink this morning as we get ready to start the day off. The Dow's actually up like over 0.6%, like $272. The S&P 500 is up 0.8, and the Nasdaq 100 is up almost 1%. And the Russell 2000, it doesn't want to be left out either because it's up almost 1% this morning as well. So some good numbers to start off this 2025 year. On the other side, we got silver making a pretty big jump as well, still below 30, but up 1.5% to $29.69 an ounce. Gold's up a little over 0.6%, $2,657. Black crude oil up as well, Dave, almost 1.6% this morning, the highest I've seen it in a while, $72.86 a barrel.
Yeah, poop. It was in the 71s yesterday, and I wasn't happy. Looking at the overseas markets, we're looking okay. Asian rims not. When they closed early this morning, the 2 mainland Chinese indexes down by 2.5% and 3%. You know that dragged the rest of the rim down. They got problems over in mainland China. Over in Europe, they're looking at our futures and saying, well, looks like we got our poop in a group over here. We're up fractionally, got green ink between, call it 10 and 0.15%. Not big, but it's green over there in the European community. Want to get a read on to how to make sure retirement happens for you? You need help. How do I get a hold of you to get that help, Phillip?
Yeah, that's why I developed the core retirement design. Give me a call at 863-382-0037 to schedule your core retirement analysis. And then join us this weekend for the Statler Financial Radio Show, 6 a.m. and noon on Saturday, 10 a.m. Sunday morning on Highlands News Talk, 7:30 a.m. and 95.3 FM.
And back here again tomorrow morning with an up-to-the-minute look on Light FM. Take care, my friend, and I'll see you shortly.
All right, babe. Take care.
Be well. It's 105.7 Light FM and Statler Financial Services, Phillip Statler.
Hey, folks, again, I want to thank you for joining us today. I hope your year is off to a great start. May 2025 be your best year yet. Take care. We'll talk again soon. Bye now.